And I think we are live. Yeah, everything great. As always, let me know if sound and everything is working. And if you joined the stream now, then let me know that you're here in the chat. It's always great to know who's here watching and all the stuff. So, welcome to the stream. Today's stream is a continuation of the stream we had last Thursday, where we were looking at doing some feedback based on some of the stuff that people have posted in Discord, just like various work and these kinds of things. And if you're new to the stream, then basically it works like this. We'll probably go between 2 and 3 hours. Today is probably going to be 2 hours, and then there'll be a break somewhere around the 1 hour mark or something like that. And that's basically the stream. And it's great if you guys are interacting in the chat. It's great if you're asking questions. Just be active. It makes it a lot more fun also for me, because it gives me something to wrestle with also. And usually we have a pretty good chat going, so I'm hoping for that to go well. So basically the way it works is that a bunch of people posted in Discord, and I think the thing was that the last stream a lot of people posted whilst the stream was going. I think people were realizing that they could, so they started posting during the stream. So there's a lot I didn't get to. But I'm hoping to get to every single one that is in the critical feedback channel today. But I'm only going to do the ones that are there now. So if something arrives during the stream, then I won't get to that. And probably I won't do this again, next week. But maybe we'll do it again in the future at some point. We could maybe make it like a monthly thing. I don't want to do it too often. It's also a lot of work for me, just like, you have to shift gear a lot. But also, maybe we could figure something out once a month or something, and then people also have time to prepare work and stuff like that. So, if you're posting now, I can see that Shinsen just posted now. If you're posting now, it's too late. The ones that were already there, those are the ones I'm going through, because that's kind of what I accounted for. But maybe I'll answer your thing in the chat. And you did post it at 20:02. We'll see. But we gotta have some rules. Cool. So I want to kind of jump into this, and the first thing I want to jump into is live scene 01. There we go. So now I can see my screen. Everything's good there. Go away, Epic. Greetings. Okay, I'm just gonna check in the chat there. I can see that we have Ricky, Novan, Toto. Hello. All working awesome. Thank you. Fuyo. Hello, welcome. Schultz Division. Hey, welcome to the stream. Tyrant Jung, do you plan on making on other tutorials? Do I plan on making other tutorials? I mean, I have many I really wanted to make. It's been a while, obviously, now, and it's not because I don't want to do them, but I just kind of shifted gears, and I had a lot of work to do. It's also about sustaining life and money and things, and I really wanted to do my own stuff, so I kind of shifted gears to doing that. And doing these live streams right now is kind of a way of maintaining some relationship with you guys, and I think I have a lot of information. I've done a lot of stuff, so if you have questions about certain things, ask them here in the chat or Discord or something, and I'll try to see if I can answer. Especially here on the stream in the chat, it's the most likely that I will answer, because I'm here, right? And I'll be forced to, otherwise it looks stupid. So, but I have maybe a couple that I maybe want to do, but I'm probably not going to be doing something like the classic ones, about like sea monsters in Blender, or artistic trees or something like that in Blender. They're a lot of fun, but I think I don't think I want to do it anymore, even though I think you guys really appreciate them and stuff. But yeah, enough about that. On to the feedback. And who else we got here? We got Plexiglass. Awesome, nice to see you. Sleepy Jester Studios, greetings. Hello, Sleepy Jester. Plexiglass writes, crap, I didn't have time to post new work in the server. No, but you got feedback last time, so. But maybe you can do it some other time. Shadon Vass, hello there. And Dave, hello. Dave, that's a great name. Okay. I want to start off these feedback rounds with a question that came from Audi. Is Audi in the stream actually? I'm gonna go in order, Ricky. Yeah, I'm gonna go in order. Is Audi in the stream? Because he got feedback. He or she, I actually don't know if it's, but Audi got feedback last time. Then asked a follow-up question on the one that's called general help now, which is and I thought it was kind of interesting just because it's I think it's useful for everyone, so I just want to start that off just to get everyone warmed up. This isn't exactly technical help, but more artistic, so I can't draw for nuts if I've ever have to think of a character or a sudden idea comes to mind because of a random inspiration. I always want to draw it out and try to fit all the details I want in a drawing. I tried getting good at drawing, but it hasn't gotten any easier. Is there any way I can visualize a character without having to draw it out as such? I can manage rough poses, sketches at best, but details are lost cause if you recall from your critique stream, you had drawn out my character with a lot of detail that I otherwise got stuck at. Is there any way I can plan stuff out without having to rely too much on drawing? Thanks. CG. PS, this is a correlation to character creation more than anything else, but like help that could be related to other fields too, process and stuff. Okay. I just thought it was kind of interesting, and I really want to do a stream at some point where we just talk about process in general, and like we could also, I really want to do a stream on learning faster. I think that'd be great. On the kind of like visualization process and stuff like that. I think that'd be great, and I promise some people also to do designer versus illustration versus artist versus whatever. But this question, I think the question is really interesting because let's say you want to do something, right? You want to make a character or something, you're making a piece of whatever, you're making characters. And you have to visualize something, right? You have to come up with an idea. And that's really where it becomes this like, not a paradox, but like it's like a mental game of like how much do you figure out in your head before you start putting things down on paper, right? Or in 3D or whatever, right? And vice versa. And I can tell you that it's very different for people, like, and between pros and stuff like this, like how people approach this. Most people I see, they tend to figure it out as they are making the stuff, right? So you place something and then you look at what it looks like and then you adjust, right? That's one way, right? And then some people, they kind of have it all in their head and then they just execute on exactly what's in their head, kind of. I would say that I'm practicing more and more doing the thing where I have stuff in my head as much as possible and then just execute. That's kind of, I'm leaning more to towards that. But I would say that drawing is definitely like a foundation for thinking like that. So that's just something you can think about. It's like I guess the question I already had was like, how can you visualize something not necessarily in a sketch, but in a different way? And I'm going to say the first step is just trying to really visualize it in your head as much as possible, regardless of if you're doing drawing or 3D or whatever you're doing, or painting, whatever. Just try visualizing it in your head. And there's many different ways of visualizing something, and I think there's this trick that probably you've seen maybe animators do or something. I'm going to go on webcams to make it more clear. So with animators, right, they sometimes, when they have to do an animation, maybe they're sitting and drawing, there's this famous picture of I think it's a photograph, animator, Disney animator expression or something. Like these ones here. Like this. Right, oh wait, you can't see it. Oh, that's not the one. There we go. This. Right here. So the animator's kind of trying to draw a face down here, and then they're mimicking the face, right? This is a really good way of visualizing something in your head, because you are feeling it, right? You're using different neurons in your brain to understand the motion, and you're not just relying on a visual cue of like, what does a face like this look like? you can feel it in your body, and you have a different kind of you have like a physical memory in your head about like how your body functions. This mostly relates to character stuff, but there's other stuff too. And I think you can take this even further. So if you're doing a character, and you're trying to visualize it before you're starting, do the pose. Do the pose of the character, figure out the pose in space. I cannot tell you how many pros I've talked to be like, why are you not like feeling this pose out? And they're like, oh, what do you think about this pose? And it's like mega stiff. I'm like, well, it feels incredibly stiff. It feels very unnatural. They're like, I don't really know what to correct. Should I correct the foot? I'm like, I think you should get up on your feet and just, feel out the pose. And you might be uncomfortable with it, but like really like try to imagine the thing. It's very, very common for some people. I think especially the best character artists, they know how to feel out the pose and understand pose through their own body, like as much as possible. And if you don't want to get up, I mean, the best thing is to get up on your own feet, stand somewhere and try out the poses and feel where the weight is, and you will understand it so much better. And in addition to that, if you don't want to go all that way, then sometimes you can do what the animator's doing here. Just try to feel it as much as possible. Don't just rely on your eyes. Use other parts of your psyche or whatever, right? Your mental connections to certain physical manifestations, all that jazzy stuff. You know what I mean, right? Try to feel it out, and I really recommend this as the first step. It's like imagine it in as many different ways as you can inside your head. So if you have cloth that the character needs to wear, then try to imagine what that cloth is. So I will get up sometimes, right? Like this, and then I will get up, and then I'll be like, okay, if I had a necklace that was big, then I will try to feel it like this, just like, okay, that feels kind of like this here, and then I would have to lean back or something to deal with the weight of that. And if you can't imagine all those things, then take some clothes, like figure it out, just to start getting an idea of what stuff feels like, and then move around and feel it in the space. I promise you it will help you visualize the stuff so much more. After that, then I will say that the problem with playing around with an idea or visualizing an idea is that momentum and speed is quite important for imagining an idea. So after you visualize something, then you want to get it down, maybe visually or something. You want to figure out a manifestation. And that's where drawing and sketching is really, 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 really useful. And I know that Audi said that not super keen on drawing because it's hard and stuff, but I think lots of sculptors I know, they rely on quite, let's say, not crappy drawing, but like very limited drawing to just get down an idea. But the point is to very quickly get the idea out and do it fast, because that feeling of the pose and everything that you kind of had in your head, or the idea, it's going to dissipate and it's going to evaporate over time if you don't get it out. And that's why sketching is really useful in general. If you're doing a sketch over a very, very long time, it won't feel right. So that's why sketching is really useful. But with that said, if you can do the same thing with 3D, like just sketching something out very fast in 3D, it can be the same. You don't have to do it as a drawing sketch. If you watched, I have the video on my channel called what am I doing here? That's not it. But what's happening on Critical Giants? Then there is the video called game development characters, etc. Right? Here I use this technique where I kind of block out the character with these just boxes and blocks and things like this. This can be a really fast way to just block things out, and you could also do it not in a symmetrical stuff. You could just do it so you get a pose or something. If that's what you're struggling with or something like that, you can totally do it like that. But I think just think about a way you can use speed to get down the idea. Yeah, that's the best advice I can give right now. I don't want to take too much time, but I'm really passionate about that kind of stuff. So if you can manifest that somehow, then I hope that works for you. Okay, we're gonna jump into the first round of feedback here. So that'll be in the top here. I think we landed on, we were doing this, and then Henrik posted this, but he did get feedback last time on this stuff here. So we're gonna move on to Fuya. Alright, I'm not skipping anyone here right now, right? Fuya is the first one, and Fuya is here, I can see with the pink hand. So I'm just gonna read the comments before we go in here, but it's super interesting. I wanna bring this in somehow. Oh, it never works. Open link, there we go. And let's see here. Nice. Cool. Just reading the chat, see if I missed anything. My ID is Shinsen on Discord. I know I'm late on the post, but maybe next time. Yeah, I mean, if there's more time in the end, maybe I'm fast, then maybe I'll hit you. But I'll try to respect. Daniel Craig, baby. Photo bashing is a great way of quickly getting detailed block-ins without pushing a lot of pencil miles. Lots of layers. Yes, that is 100% true. I actually use photo bashing to generate characters sometimes. But for very specific instances, it's usually if I have to make multiple characters very fast, then I might use photo bashing instead of sketching. If I'm just doing one character, then I draw in 2D. Microphone is a little quiet. Sometimes I guess I can do this. Like here, this should be better. You can also go down, and then it's like the proximity effect, and then you get that like I'm in your head, and then people are like, oh no, stop. So I'm gonna put it over here so it's not too extreme. I have a request. I should be the second in order. I'm Cricket on Discord. Would it be possible to go first? I have to go in a bit, and I would love to listen to your feedback live. It's not possible. No, that's fine. That's fine. I can do that. Sorry, I didn't see that until now. Fuya, I hope that's okay with you. You're Cricket. Okay. Yeah, I should have seen that earlier. I'll do that. That's totally fair. I'm sorry. I should have just seen that. I'm sorry, Fuya. If you. Okay, awesome. But I will get you. Okay. What's going on with this one then? Hey, I'm new here. I'm an environment art student for games from Italy. I used 3D for about a year, but I started diving deep into game workflow a few months ago. This is my first environment. I did the lighting today, so it's a bit rough, but I did my best. It's my first time using pretty much every software except Maya, so I spent most of the time learning and just a few weeks on this piece. My main gripe with the piece is that the lighting and the fact that there's a bit more that it is a bit more realistic than you hoped for, I guess. It's based on a screenshot from Arcane, and it's clearly visible that I didn't manage to grasp that style yet. How can I make the piece more stylized and less realistic? Okay. Okay, let's see here. So I wouldn't necessarily think that it's too realistic, but the thing you're trying to hit is stuff from... Oh, I see. Okay, so it's too realistic for Arcane, but you're trying to hit kind of like Arcane style more, like the Arcane show, not the game. So League of Legends is a certain level of stylization. Arcane is a little bit less stylized, but still stylized, obviously. So that's what you were trying to do. Lighting. I see here. Okay. What could be done here? I don't feel like the stylization is too far off. I think maybe it's just you have a slightly awkward composition. And it's not because, and it's a symmetrical composition, so it's kind of just supposed to always work, but it's slightly awkward because it's a little bit hard for us to know exactly what you're looking at. I know that you're also asking about how to make it more stylish, but I actually think it's always grounded in composition, so we always start there. But I think you have a slightly awkward composition in that what am I exactly supposed to look at, right? And it's not necessarily a lot about value, because I know I'm being drawn towards the middle. Right, that's obviously where I'm looking, but what is it exactly I'm looking at? And I think this is supposed to be a throne, right? That's what it looks like, kind of. And then, yeah, that's a throne. Yeah, that kind of took me a little bit of time to realize that it was a throne and not just a monolith or something like that. And then there is the star and that kind of stuff. I wish that was a little bit more clear. That it was a throne. So I think there's something with your value range in here. And a different thing is also that you kind of got this emptiness here and you got these two glass boxes, and it's a little bit hard for me to tell exactly what the scale of these things are. Like, because they're glass cabinets or something containing stuff, they feel like they're not very big. Maybe a person is like that tall or something. But they could also be kind of big because it's so bare here. Getting exactly the right scale information is a little bit hard. And I would say that these ones, they have a certain proportion that also makes them seem smaller than probably is your intention. So that's actually what I would attack first. And I think maybe the stuff that you're thinking where you're like, I wish it was a bit more stylized. I'm feeling like maybe it's not the stylization that is really the problem. Like, of course you could like go crazy with the shapes and be like, whoa, this is like, this has all these details and it goes crazy, and the chair is whatever, like that and stuff like that, right? That's stuff that you can do. But I think maybe the issue, is my guess, is more that the feeling you're going for, you can push the feeling more by changing the proportions of some of the stuff in your image. And I think it will feel more, not necessarily stylized, but a bit more poppy. Like it's going to pop a little bit more, because that you're going to emphasize the feeling of the grandiosity. And I think that's what we're supposed to get here, right? Is the grandiosity of this place, right? And having this throne. So that's kind of the mindset I want to be in. That's how I'm going to approach it, is that I think that we need to do something about the proportions between stuff. So I think I would start with these ones here. I think these ones are also a little bit awkward in that they just look like kind of metal beams, and there's not really anything happening in these transition areas. I'm not really quite sure what they're supposed to do. They feel a little bit strange there. The background and stuff looks kind of cool. That works for me. But I think that the architecture of the room could use a little bit of work. So let's see, the first thing I would maybe think about doing is that these guys here, I would scale them down, I think. Make them thicker, thinner. Kind of like this. And then like that. Like that. Ta-da. I guess this is the wall, actually. Or what's going on there? There's some kind of pattern there, actually. Yeah, like that. And then these ones get to go there, 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 there. And that thing gets to go there. That thing gets to go there. I'm just gonna do the the right side here, just so we can see what's kind of happening. Because it's definitely not perfect what I'm doing here, but I think you'll feel the change a little bit. So if I just cover this over here in black, so we don't get distracted by it, I think this now feels bigger, just because this is smaller. And the thing that happened was that when it's becoming smaller, the the detail inside also became smaller. And when the detail is smaller, we think bigger, because just like small detail more often exists on bigger things, right? Like if something's very big, then and there's lots of small details kind of here and there, then it works that way. And you can also do something with the kind of how this stuff is laid out. So you kind of covered just the entire thing in a pattern, and that's fine. But everything else kind of in the room is if you everything else in the room kind of seems like it has more of a ratio, and especially on this throne, there's kind of like a lot of black, and then there's this like ornate top, and I kind of feel like a similar thing could happen to this, where this can go all the way like that, maybe. Da, 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 da. And then whatever pattern here, if you have the pattern kind of come on, give me what I want. Pattern kind of in the bottom only or something. Then you're gonna get like more of that like feeling of stylization, because the proportions in the design is pushed a lot more. At least to me, then this feels like it's more stylized without it actually being more stylized in terms of shape. But the internal proportions of something are much more pushed, right? See what I mean? Like, I think it makes for me that makes a big difference. Like how these things feel. Okay, so I will try to bring that over to the side. How do I do that? I merge these two layers like that, and then we'll take this one and just kind of say woobly woobly woobly. Like that, right? Okay. Then I think the same thing kind of with some of this other stuff. Like I think your architecture is kind of mismatching a little bit, and I feel like that's what's like. We got these red lines coming in, but then we got these white lines here, and we got some sticks here, and we got these ones here. There's a lot of different stuff that's not really like coming together. And when this kind of throne room with a big throne, then I'm almost expecting even more symmetry. Like your room, your composition is saying symmetry, but some of the elements in the room are not saying symmetry. Even though they are symmetrical, they're just not following the overall stuff. So I think like bringing all this stuff together here as much as possible, like making stuff align like that, you know, like that. Oh, and now actually I can turn on symmetry like this, and then I can hide the symmetry like that. Then it's happening on both sides. Super simple, right? And then this would be behind there, also the glass, that kind of stuff, etc. Like that. And then these beams here, I'm not quite sure what they're doing, but I feel like they should be like this one. You know, they shouldn't be as bright as this here, obviously, but that's kind of the color I would want them to be. Let's see here. And then maybe they get a little bit more like light on the thing here. Oh, that's not what we want. Something like that, etc., etc. And that also goes out there in the back there. Yeah, I feel like these pillars need to be even more kind of massive, and I'm not entirely sure what's going on here, you know. Like these kinds of things are coming out, and then something's hanging there. Okay, so that's just kind of cleaning that up a little bit, and then this kind of stuff here, I think it's kind of like you're integrating really well, right? But then, and this is really ornate and has some really interesting stuff, but then this is just kind of squares, right? And it's telling me that it felt like it was supposed to be like that, so I would just continue what you're doing here, right? You know, doing this kind of stuff. Give me those shapes there as well, just to integrate everything a little bit more. And then I think you should keep the symmetry here. Like you're keeping symmetry here, so then you should also have the symmetry here. Then that just kind of makes sense, because you're kind of mixing them up there, and I think to bring that in. And then see, we got an arch here, that's fine. We got that going on. And then I think the stuff in the foreground, it's not really saying, I don't really understand them. I think they're a little bit distracting, so I'm gonna try just removing them for now. Just giving the ceiling here, floor, like that, and then like that. And then I kind of want to continue those ribbons as well, like there, like that, like so. Okay. And then now we have a little bit of space. Now we have an opportunity to start repeating some stuff, right? So I want to create a sense of kind of scale and dynamicness in the thing. I feel like we can repeat some stuff a little bit here. So if I grab this stuff here and we bring it to the, actually, can I just get the thing itself? Then we can start getting a little bit of scale here by bringing this into the foreground, make it a little bit darker, and bringing it over here to the right, to horizontal. There we go, kinda nice. And then we could also bring in the pillars if we wanted to do that, also as a foreground element or something like that. Cool. And you could start adding some details then, like if you're like, okay, you know what, like maybe you kind of got this like copper thing going on. Maybe you have like kind of ornate details happening here as well on these things, maybe at the bottom. And remember to push the proportions between stuff. There, and maybe there's some stuff here, etc. That kind of stuff. Right. I'll just make the background a little bit nicer than what I did here. I would also maybe even push this out, so you get some doorways or something behind here, going in a certain direction. Give them, their ornateness. So just make the space even more. You got that shadow there, that's coming through there. Yeah. Let's see here. I do feel like we need those elements back, the foreground stuff, but maybe it's just that this stuff needs to be a little bit darker. Don't actually know exactly what I would do here. It's gonna block it out with something dark, just to see what we're. Maybe we can get something like kind of. Maybe we can't get in the back, but then they feel like they have to be something. And you might have an idea here with library and stuff like this, and maybe it's a specific character, so the glass vials kind of held a specific value, but the glass closets and stuff. The value, but maybe there's something like this where there's these glass boxes in front, and they're containing something that's a little bit more exotic. Who knows, like whatever blue gems or something. I don't really like that. Maybe or something like that. Yeah, it's not really where I would place them, but something like that. Oh, something like that. Maybe something slightly different here. I guess my approach will actually always to just be like put characters in there, you know. That's that always feels right. But I think some kind of thing here, like kind of like you had before, but just I wanna be very certain what it is. I think that's the thing. Maybe the shape on that thing can be a lot more dramatic. Maybe the shapes are still like doing these like stained glass things. That could be kind of interesting. And then, but then they're obviously darker. I like that. And there could be a slight glow in there. Yeah, I think it's something like that maybe. That's what I'm thinking. And it's symmetrical composition, so you can kind of like put anything in there. Yeah, no characters, also thinking characters, but I want to just keep the spirit of what you were doing. Like obviously I'm not painting it the best way right now, right? This is not supposed to be beautiful. This is just to give you ideas. I think something like this, where I just think a bit more about the like unifying your room, so that all works. And then we can just bring in some stuff like that, and a little bit of maybe some light here. You can figure out if this is too much. Like I think the glow maybe is a little bit too much, but hopefully this gives you some ideas, something to try out at least. Awesome. I'm gonna leave it at that. I hope you got something out of that. I missed a bunch of comments here. I'm just gonna look through that. You can flip it and it feels internal proportions pushed. Now we have a perspective lines pointing upwards from the lowest banner to the end of the banner holder. Shadows are highlighted surprisingly, add more space and break the color palette a bit. There's a difference between warm colors in the windows and cold colors. Stream just started, or are we hours in? Okay, that's been answered there. How did you do the symmetrical brush? Symmetrical brush is up here. Symmetry. Photoshop. Doors are actually a great idea. There's nothing from the real world in this picture to reference the scale. Cool. Okay, I'm glad that it worked out for you. Awesome. Yeah, so I think it's a good comment from Fuyo also. It's just like, how you're dealing with this, the patch of light here. I was gonna talk about that, but you can, if you're adjusting this, then you can figure out how that better corners your composition, and maybe even let it do something like that. Or you can also just kind of let it soften out a little bit, so that it's not as intense. But I also kind of get that you wanted to have that pattern there. But it's also two things kind of hitting each other. Like there's this thing and then there's that thing. I actually have a friend who did a piece that I'm just reminded of that has a little bit of a similar vibe. But slightly different. So it's kind of like this. And so obviously it's a different kind of stylization, but you still got kind of your central thing with something coming through, but then it's kind of being artificially lit, and this is still the value focal point, right? But then there's like a contrast of saturation up here, and yeah, just a different way of structuring your thing, making sure that you still get all the details, but just you just exactly lean it towards this, where here you kind of maybe have a few things fighting, right? And I would also just figure out how much you can play with your overall values. Like, you can definitely push some of the stuff maybe back a little bit, so that it's not as demanding as some of the other stuff. And then etc. Cool. I hope that helps. Okay, I'm gonna jump on to Fuya, and then afterwards we're going to Schultz. Oh, I had one open already, right? Was it here? There we go. Okay. And what did Fuya write? Fuya writes, hi, started to learn character design this year and I want to become a character concept artist in the future, sharing my Demon Berserker. My goal was to create a design that is simple, not complicated, yet interesting looking. Achieve speed with a simple idea and get finalized quality. The work is still in progress and I feel like I don't have something that catches the viewer's eye in my design, but also receive feedback on how to make the design a bit more interesting. Okay, so your so your question's about design. So you're trying to become a character concept artist. I have some experience in that. I've worked as a character concept artist a couple of times. There's two big things to post the paint over. Yes, I'll do that. I'll absolutely do that. Thanks for reminding me. What was it? What was your Shayuden? Where the heck did it go? No, Cricket. That was the Cricket. There we go. I didn't post anything. I'm an idiot. There we go. Cool. So two big things just to consider, and that is that's not a good brush. Design or illustration. Okay, so if you want to go into the industry and you want to be a designer, then the work is very different than if you want to go in and be an illustrator. And you can be both, but the tasks are very different, right? And sometimes the tasks require you to end up doing the same things, but typically if you work as a designer, you have to have the core competences of a designer. You also have to think about your work as a designer and not as an illustrator. So I just want to find a good example of some character design work. What can I find? Maybe there is. If I go on ArtStation, just say character design, maybe we'll get something. No, actually, you know what? I'm gonna look at Six More Vodka's website. I was interning here for half a year. Let's see here, Famous Work. They've done some League of Legends stuff. So, League of Legends, that's illustrations. Legends of Runeterra, illustrations. Lore sketches, those are sketches. And then we have concept. That's what I'm going to look at here. And everyone can see, right? Yeah, cool. So these things are, concepts, right? There are sketches, there it is. And they're just drawn out stuff. Sometimes they're black and white, sometimes they're in color, sometimes they have a little bit more detail, etc., 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 etc. This is pretty. They kind of do these as one-off sketches, right? So they don't do a bunch of sketches before they do this one. They just do this one once as an idea, kind of. That's a very high level and a very high level of detail for a design sketch, right? You might get stuff that's like even more sketchy, not from Six More Vodka, but in general, you might get something that is just a lot more not illustrative, right? But it depends on the project and depends on who you're working with, etc., etc., etc. You can see these ones are a bit more sketchy, right? They're a bit more rough in a different way, but they're still quite detailed. And then you get this kind of stuff, right? Where this is almost like an illustration, right? But this was pushed a lot further to really hone in on the character, something like that, right? So that's one aspect of still design, not illustration, still design. And then there is, who does very sketchy characters? Character design. I guess I do. Do I have anything that represents that? No, I don't, I guess. Do I not really have any design work like that on my boards here. Let's see. I just want to make sure that I find good examples to show. I'm just blanking pretty hard right now. Character design. Who is doing character design? Or who is doing the specific kind of character design that I'm looking for here? Sorry, I'll just take 2 minutes to find some good examples. Character lineup. Or maybe actually, yeah, I think I know it. Xingyi Wang. This guy here. Okay. Then we say challenges, and then probably maybe here, maybe have some sketches. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this specific one. How do I get to? Maybe here. No. I want to see this one. How do I see it? Can we see the process? Thank you. That's what I would like to see. Yes. Okay. So this is design, right? This is not illustration. This is design, right? You're figuring out the idea. You're playing around with the things, and this is a very drawn approach to figuring out the stuff. And we're going through these things and these things, as we're seeing these things, and then we're getting more finalized characters. And the finalized characters are not even that illustrated, right? They still have their line and those kinds of things. So my point is just that that's design, right? More finalized and polished rather than sketchy variant. So most of the time, when you're being hired as a designer, most of the time, right, you're being hired to do this, like figuring out the idea, like this kind of stuff. That's the actual work that you'll be doing, and you can be doing that in all kinds of ways. It can be through photo bashing, through sketching like this. It could be, just drawing, painting, or whatever, or in 3D or something like that. The job is to figure out the design. If you're being hired as an illustrator, then the job is very different. Then it's about creating a good image, making stuff look good on the canvas and things like that, right? So that's kind of where I want to start. So if you're figuring out the design, I would try to not think too much about how you're presenting your stuff. Like just cut all the stuff with doing backgrounds and doing too much rendering on your character and those kinds of things. I just like leave that out the door and let us see just like, you know, some design sketches, like let it be alive. So what I'm kind of thinking is that I will go over your thing, but just an approach here, for example, is that if you're a designer, you want to show off that you can think about an idea and play around with it. So it can be very helpful to have stuff like, okay, I'm gonna have my, you know, your demon here, right? You have your, how'd it actually look? It was like this, okay. And maybe you're playing around with some helmet designs like this, and you're kind of saying, okay, here's my helmet design 1 or something. It has that thing going on, that thing going on there. So that's one sketch we got there. Why does it keep? My flip has stopped working, so that's great. But maybe a different helmet design is something where it's the jaw instead. We're getting the eyes. You know, you get what I'm saying, right? Trying something different here. See that? Play around with the design of the stuff, right? So that's something you can play around with. Like, it's good to be able to show this, especially if you're doing a more finished illustration, and if specifically if you want to work as a designer, show the design stuff that came with it, right? Just in context, and think about these things as much as possible, because that's going to be that's like 80% of the job. And the same way, if you're doing the full character, then play around with the design itself. You're gonna putting down some stuff. So you have guy number 1 here, right? And he has this kind of that kind of stuff here, and he has something like that. That's our guy number 1. And then maybe we have a variant, which is guy number like this. Then maybe he has a necklace, and it's actually a different kind of thing he's wearing here. Maybe this guy has shoes, and he has more like a belly plate something, and he has something like that, right? So show the variation, show the idea stuff, and just see how the idea is coming along, right? So I think that's where I would start. Just like spend a lot of time here if you want to do design. So if that's what you're approaching, then and present your work like this, and look more like actual concept designers and concept artists than illustrators, right? Okay, I want to see, and I want to find some good designers, but we're already getting so high on time here, low on time. What is a good? There's lots of design. Maybe somebody like Richard Anderson. No, not Richard. What's his name? His name is Richard. Paul Richards. That's his name. Paul Richards did a bunch of design for kind of Dishonored. He has a very like design approach to everything, right? Like he's doing explorative things like this. He also has things that are kind of like this. This is a very this is like design work, like 101. You're getting an idea for what the entire character is, and the character still looks good in terms of design, but it's not so much that the current illustration is so hot, right? That's not the idea. It's about the different iterations of stuff. right? And iterations, iterations, iterations. This is design work. Yeah, Paul Richards. Check Paul Richards out. He's I think it's a good to just like see all the different kinds of stuff that design can be just through drawing. But then there's also stuff where you're going through, you know, other things like that. Okay. Either way, let's talk specifics. I think Stephen Oakley is also a good one. Yes, 100%. Dakota, sorry you came in late. We're just doing feedback on people. All the stuff about like illustration versus artistry, I'll do a proper stream where we can have a good discussion about that. Okay, but let's talk specifics about this guy here. Okay, so first off, for me, it's important to establish what is it for, right? What is it for? And I'm thinking that this looks like it's for, I don't know what it's for, but it's a demon guy. Maybe it could be in Diablo, maybe it could be in whatever. But I don't think this design doesn't exist without context, right? You're designing something for something. So always, as much as possible, make a context for what you're making. Like it's fine to say like, you know, it's like, oh, I just want to draw a demon. But if you're just drawing a demon, then you're not designing, then you're just kind of painting something you want to paint. It's a very different thing if you're like saying, nope, I'm designing this thing for this game because it needs to evoke this and this and this. It's a problem that you're trying to solve with a drawing or a piece of design or a sketch or something, right? So context here. So Fuya, you're in the chat, I'm guessing. Just what is the context you're imagining? Yeah, get some context, then I can set up this canvas in the meantime. Why can't I flip anymore? This is so annoying. I guess something happened to, maybe to my keyboard. Put this over here. Oh, can I pull my keyboard in and out? Maybe I can do that. Maybe that's what we needed. I don't know if Fuya is seeing that I'm waiting for context, or maybe you're thinking. Oh, you got it there. I would say it fit Diablo because it was the biggest part of inspiration when they dropped concepts on ArtStation, especially Igor Sid's work. Okay, so Igor Sid is an illustrator more than he's a designer. I'm pretty sure he can also design, but Igor Sid is, you see, illustrators it's first illustrator, concept artist, and then he's a dude in the end, right? He's also a concept artist, of course, and lots of this stuff is concept art work. This is like very much concept art work, but I think he's often getting hired and is known for his illustrative work more than this stuff. But he can do both, obviously. He's great. Yeah, but let's say Diablo. Okay, cool. So Diablo, first of all, Diablo tends to stick quite closely to real world proportions. Yeah. So I would say that that's like the first thing that if I was your art director, that's the first thing I would say, that like, you know what, it feels like he's a bit more stylized than he needs to be for something like Diablo, right? He's trying to be a big guy, but he's looking a little bit small, and it's something to do with, you know, the head size and relative to the body, and something's kind of happening with the legs and those kinds of things. But I get what you're going for, right? But so that's the first thing I would say. It's like, okay, we need to be in kind of a realistic thing, proportion wise. Like obviously you're trying to do somewhat realistic stuff with the whole lighting and the muscles and stuff like this, but the overall proportions and the anatomy, they're getting squished in a way where he seems more stylized. So that's where I would tackle it first. It's just to say, okay, what kind of character is this, right? He's a big, brutish demon, right? he kind of has this covering. I'm thinking that it would be nice to give him a trait that, because right now he's almost heroic in his proportions. Like he's a demon, but he's so heroic that he can also become a little bit like generic, just because he is so like fit. Kind of, it's almost perfect. Like his abs are also completely symmetrical, even though it's so rare that we see symmetrical abs in humans, right? So he's almost more perfect than a human. I think giving him a little bit of a twist in his body, his demeanor, and his posture can make him seem a little bit more interesting. And we're not even getting to the design of his like gear and those kinds of things. We're just thinking about his presence, and that's where it always starts. For me, that's always where it starts. Like, okay, what is his presence about? His presence about being big, brutish, and demonic. Let's write that. And demonic kind of has a twistedness to it, so I'm gonna add that, just like say a little bit twisted. Right, he can still be big and bulky, but I think giving it a twist, we can get something where it's just gonna be a little bit more interesting, right? And I think going down that line, I think we're gonna come to a point where we'll make more interesting design decisions. But let's start there. Let's see here. So I would maybe try doing, and I prefer just doing a separate version than doing a paint over, but it'll relate to this, so I think it'll be more helpful. Whoa. Everything just stopped working. Come on. Okay, this canvas kind of died. Save as. Where should I save this here? Let's do it desktop. Fuya. File open recent. Fuya. There we go. Okay. Just gonna bring chat up again so I'm not ignoring everyone. Where the heck is I lose you guys all the time. Why did I make it all go away? Maybe it was over here? No. 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 I think I just closed the window. Damn. That's incredible. I'm gonna reopen it. Sorry. I'm so bad at it. I'll get better one day. Stream 100, I'll be really good. Camera froze. Oh. But there's still sound, sorry, I hadn't seen that. We should be back now. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, we are. And there we go. So I'm gonna start off. What size do we have here? Gonna bring the image size up a little bit. 6,000, I think. Like that. Okay. So I want this kind of. I'm gonna establish like my things like this. There's also kind of two things to design. Like you can think design like very. Like literally, where you're like, okay, I'm just gonna design his literal look, right? It's like, okay, he's red here, he has a helmet there, he has shoes there, and then you can just do it kind of flat, kind of like Igor's doing here. Like he's doing it very flat, and that's to show the armor and the stuff very precisely, so that a modeler and a texture artist, they can see it for reference, right? That's what these things are for, right? Even something like this is also, it's to really be very clear about what's going on. It doesn't show the character that well, right? It shows the design very well, but it doesn't show the character of the design of the character itself that well, right? That's something that, you know, something like this is, I know this is an illustration, but something like this shows the character a little bit better with the pose, and it's something that Six More Vodka is very good at. They are, in all that stuff, they're showing the character. It's kind of like when I'm doing these kinds of things, then this pose is part of the design of the character, and I always like to think that in. I think pose has so much to do with a good design, especially if you're trying to show the character, right? So pose, always be good. So I'm taking it from that approach. Okay, so I'm looking at this guy. I'm kind of like, you know what? Maybe he's a little bit bent over, kind of. Got his, maybe he's got a twist. There. There, maybe something like that. Oh my god, that didn't work. So I want his stance to be a little bit more chaotic, just to make him seen dangerous in a different way. Oh, it's very annoying that I can't flip the canvas. I need to just figure that out real quick. There. View. Flip. Yes, the short key is just gone. What the hell happened there? Okay, there we go. And then I'm gonna try to also stick quite closely to your design, just to show how much pose and slide proportions can do for the overall feeling of everything. So here we got this guy here. Maybe this one will go further back, like that. And then we're gonna make his head a lot smaller, so that he seems bigger. And then his arm here is gonna be a little bit more kind of twisted. And then he has the weapons here. Let's see, how do I want to deal with that? I just want the weapons to seem like awful to be in contact with, and they do seem awful to be in contact with. I definitely don't want to touch that, but I think they can be even more kind of. And I'm realizing that I'm making the proportions almost more crazy, but I think by being very careful about exactly what I'm exaggerating and how, then we can make it feel more Diablo appropriate. Maybe he's even holding his hands on the thing here. Da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Like so. So now hopefully you can see that now his body is like a lot more twisted. And then we'll bring in this the helmet gear, and I want him kind of looking. I kind of want him to look in my direction, so that I, as the viewer, really start getting the uncomfortableness, because that's what I'm feeling. Like you're walking in a room, right? And you're seeing this guy, and you don't want him to look at you. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting, right? So in the concept to show that, I'm gonna make that very clear that he's kind of looking in our direction. And I'll talk a little bit more generally about like what I did with maybe some smaller things of the design afterwards. It's just hard to do while I'm drawing here. I just want to get it down. got the horns there. I do like the horns, very low key. But I'll cut one of them off just to give him a little bit of asymmetry and to make him a little bit more memorable. I'm now imagining that he's like a boss, you know, like kind of like the butcher or something like that. So I'm allowing myself to be even more kind of crazy with those things. Okay, I think I got kind of a pose here that I can. I just want to see this. Okay, so some things that we could do. There we go. Nice. Now we got that. Oh no, is it doing it again? Come on. No, it's doing it again. I don't know what's going on with my Photoshop. I think I must be pressing something really fast and it gets overloaded by my awesome speed. Okay. Let's see here. What do we... actually, I think maybe I'll change this so that this can also become a weapon here. And maybe it's even holding it backwards. Okay, like that kind of. Yeah, now I'm just kind of having fun drawing this guy, so it's okay. And then teeth there. Yeah. Something like that. Maybe his head can even be flipped the other way. Yeah, that gives him even more of a, also gives him a little bit more of that what he had before. So that's the first thing I would try out. Like play with your pose a little bit more and figure out your proportions. Like I think maybe he's a little bit too, on yours a little bit too stout where he does need to be. A little bit too bulky in ways where it doesn't need to be. And come on. Okay. Then we got, you know, those gauntlets. Like I feel like most designs are really close to actually just being really good, but it's often about other things than necessarily changing all the stuff. It's actually a gripe I have with art directors in general, or you know, people's approach to concept art. They're just like, oh, maybe we should try changing this more and more. I'm like, you know what? I think we can make anything kind of work if we just, if I assure you, if we present it the right way, and we just really get into what the stuff needs to represent, then we'll make a good decision. Okay, cool. So we kind of got that guy now, and what I'm thinking about is what is his feature that we need to remember, right? And that's kind of the design thing, like to make it stand out more, make it more memorable. What is it that that we need to do? What is it we need to pay attention to? Right. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. And what I'm looking at here is like, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm gonna look over here. It's like, okay, there's some aspects here where like he feels more heavy. Like these things, they feel more heavy than they do over here. And that's, I kind of miss that aspect from here, right? So I want to get that in. And again, it's still just like pose, but why not? Sometimes you just only feel it when the silhouette is there. So maybe it's being dragged behind. Or maybe it's kind of like that, like being dragged behind himself. I would have to spend a little bit more time like figuring that out, like pose-wise. But I think that's the right idea. It's like the heaviness of the blades. And that you do not want to be hit by them. And also, you can see now that when this guy is going to move, he's going to twist in a really weird way. Like where his whole body is going to be doing something with his long arms and these blades. He's going to be like that. Kind of. You know, he's really gonna twist around, kind of, and he's gonna have a long reach. That's what all this here is suggesting, like that this is so exaggerated, and then that it's being elongated by these blades. That's what that's telling me, as the the player potentially coming up here, looking at it. It's like, okay, this is gonna become that. And that's the sign still. Oh, gotta get rid of that. Okay, cool. And then, let's see here. What's going on in this chat? Then we can start just populating some materials. Like this, we've got the blades here, they are dark. And then we got the teeth, and that's kind of the thing I was like looking before, and then the teeth really feel like they should be a feature, but there's also kind of these tattoos and the teeth and the helmet and the stuff and the skulls. I'm kind of like, okay, what is it exactly that makes him uncomfortable to deal with, right? So I'm thinking that it's something about what's going on right here, right? This is it's all about that stare. It's about first you're seeing the silhouette kind of like walking over in the distance somewhere. You know, he's over there kind of like lumbering. Wait, actually I want to draw this out. So he's kind of there like lumbering slowly. And this was just my approach. Maybe you wanted to do a more like stoic, bulky approach, but I'm taking it this way, right? And then, you know, he's kind of like dragging these big swords around, kind of, and you're seeing the silhouette over there, just like, and we're over here somewhere. We're like, oh my god, whoa, right? And he's walking around over there like doff, 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 doff. But then suddenly he's gonna like twist around, you know, and see us. And then what is it that is greeted? You know, it's this, right? So that's kind of how I'm thinking about the design, right? It's like, how do we experience those things in relationship to each other? And I'm not doing the best job of like explaining it right now, but that's because I'm trying to draw it while talking. But I'm hoping you're getting something out of it. Maybe he's having something here. So now I'm just thinking about how I can make this feel really special, right? So everything else kind of just needs to come away a little bit. And you can still have tattoos and things for like added detail and added story, but it's important that this is what that really kills me, kind of. So he's gonna have these like yellowy teeth. And then just bring in some contrast here, so we can use that helmet to frame that stuff as much as possible. And then we're starting to feel that. Yeah, I'm starting to feel it now. It's like, yeah, and even it's mega sketchy, right? But character-wise, like you sure we can add lots of detail, but I think this is kind of doing what we want to do. And yeah, we could add a skulls and stuff like this, you know, down here or something, right? And they would become extra detail. We'll do, you know, some red stuff, etc. Right? But it kind of becomes secondary to whatever's happening there. That's our money shot. That's what we want people to understand. Just gonna do some quick shadowing in like this, so that everyone understands. This is also going very fast, right? I'm trying to do this really fast. I would not be this rough if I was doing it properly, but I'm hoping you're getting the gist. Like that, kind of. Well, this is, you know, a little bit more, okay, like drawing wise, it's more stylized, but I think in terms of what we needed to do, then I think it's kind of interesting. And we could still do, you know, like our tattoos and things. They just have to not overwhelm the stuff that we're doing otherwise. Maybe they're more like, maybe they're a bit more twisted. Yeah, I think it's play with this a lot more, Fuya. Like play with what the, like, especially if you want to do design, play with the character's supposed to represent and the stuff. I honestly, I think like the details and things, it's not so important. It's how you represent it, and like it's more about rebalancing the stuff so it serves what you need it to serve. Because like design wise, it's all fine. Like it works an idea. You just gotta, you have the idea, like this is what I want to communicate, then just figure out, okay, how can I push this and push this and push that so that it exactly says what I wanted to say, right? I hope that makes sense. It's I prefer doing it this way, like you know, that's big, brutish, demonic, and twisted. We can definitely feel there's just like a Joker quality to it now, right, with the smile. Okay, we're on 21, 25. We need to move on to the next one. I was too long at this one, but I hope it was appreciated. How many are left here? We got Schultz, right? Schultz, yeah. And then we got it's Robin TV. It's Robin TV. You're not here, right? I think it's I think he said that he was going to the cinemas. Audi is Audi here. Audi, we did Audi last week. I'm gonna skip Audi for now. I'm sorry. I think also Audi wasn't here. Otherwise I'll do LP. Is LP here? And then there is Opossum. We're gonna take a quick 5-minute break. Just let me know, people. Schultz division. I think Schultz is here. It's Robin. I don't think so. Audi isn't here. LP is LP here. Is Opossum the Ocean here? Is Wick Booth here? Let me know, and then we'll do a 5-minute break. So see you guys in 5 minutes. How to do that? Okay, and I think we're back here and that kind of stuff can go. I did manage to like make myself bleed whilst I'm sorry if anyone's sensitive to blood or anything like that, but for some reason my beard is bleeding. Like that's just a little bit of skin next to the beard for some reason. That's really weird. I'm like, what the hell? That's, you know, if your mustache is so great, then you know your skin it gets jealous and it starts bleeding to get attention, or I don't know what's going on, but I think it's just some dry skin, weirdly. Awesome. Where did we come from? Everyone's back. So the next one that's up is Schultz division. And Schultz, you're still here? Let me know that you're still here. I know you were here before. Just confirm that you're here. What was the things? I forgot to post something, but I made this post on Photoshop photo manipulation. What could I do better? I know the dragon is bad, but ran out of time. Link to a quick breakdown I did afterwards. You have a breakdown. You're kinda going through awesome. Is that yourself? Using yourself as a whoa, crazy. Okay, yeah, I see. Da, da, da. Let's open this. Let's put it in here. Was Schultz here? I just yes, still is. Awesome. Sorry, I just double confirming just so that all works out. Okay, gonna go back to the scene. What can you do better? Okay, so this is an illustration, right? This is supposed to be like a finished thing. I think the feeling that we're supposed to get is to feel this kind of majestic warrior, or like not majestic, but like this kind of necromantic orc warrior walking through the battlefield, and there's kind of all this carnage going on. So we want to feel that, and you know, compositionally it can work, like framing the character like this. But if we just want to think about what we need to feel, then this maybe right now has a very, it's almost like a, like this could be the album for like a you know, some metal band, right? It's like dead, like, you know, dead dawn, kind of like it can be something like that. It's a little bit maybe poppy, right? It's maybe popping a bit too much, and maybe saying more about like, look how awesome I look, versus what's happening right now here. What's the emotional connection? So I'm gonna take it from that angle. I'm coming for you. Okay, that's what you're going for. Yes. Let's see here. I'm coming for you. Okay, so if it's coming for you, then I think once again we want to know, in a way, kind of what has he just done to let us know that he's coming for us, right? Like, what I need to feel that somehow. I need that to be justified. So what I would do here is I would maybe try to say, okay, we're gonna have we have the battle and stuff going on, but maybe what we need to see is more like death. So maybe we need to see more of just people being kind of lying down and being dead on the ground, kind of people who have, maybe there are a few people still fighting in the background, you know, doing their stuff. But I want to see some death, maybe some people in the foreground who are kind of, you know, also kind of dead here, dead there. Some dead people there. Some more people fighting in the background. We can still have the dragon, but maybe the dragon is even more like... Or maybe we heard like maybe it's like birds to signify kind of like death. Like, so it feels a little bit wastelandy in that sense. And then the character, that's where you can start making a decision with the character, like pose-wise. I think this character can have a demeanor that says you're dead. You know, so I'm gonna give it way more brow. Oh, actually, I'm gonna need to go up with the resolution here. We're in mega low. There we go. Then I think I wanna not make the hair, make the head pop out too much. I kind of want to show the, kind of know when people are approaching you, right? Then it's kind of like, it's like I'm getting home with you, or it's like I'm kind of, you're kind of doing this and you're staring forward. That's what you see with chimpanzees, right? They look so menacing, kind of. They're like they're lining their head up with their shoulders, and then they kind of have this like that kind of a demeanor where they make themselves look big in a different way. So maybe there's something like that going on here. Just gonna bring this down like that. So let's see here. And if he's walking towards us, maybe he's even stepping on some of the stuff that is dead. You know, maybe he doesn't give a rat's ass there. Da-da-da-da. Maybe, yeah, thing like that. Something like that. Just want the brow even more. It kind of looks like he's looking a little bit to the left. I don't want that. I think it's probably because of his head position, actually. There. Something like that. I'm a little bit worse at giving feedback today because I was out drinking yesterday, so I'm still a little bit hungover. I apologize for that. So you guys are getting like kind of second-rate feedback. I'm so sorry about that. I hope it's still valuable, but it's not super optimal prime. But there will be more stuff in the future, hopefully, where I'm less hungover. I do have like a slight nagging like headache, and now my mustache is also bleeding, which is the first time that's happening ever. So that's really weird. Like that, kinda. And if we can really step on somebody who's dead, then it'll be like, wow, okay, I'm not gonna, that's gonna suck meeting that guy, because he's just gonna be the worst ever. Like that, and then I will bring that down a little bit here, just so I can do some detail with the face here, just to bring, because I think that's where, like, even if everything else was a big mess, if the face is like really intense and interesting, then, and here we want as much of a brow as humanly possible. And you kind of want this like very, very little eye coming up. You know, just, you want to feel that extreme, just, oh shit, this is like something has happened to everyone he loves, or he just hates me in every single way possible, and he's coming for me. Like that. And the fucking hair needs to just kind of be all whatever. Like that. Probably has a recent scar or something. Maybe he's even like bleeding or something. It's like, oh, I've been through all this stuff already. I'm completely like ready to kill every single person who gets in my way right now. And then I think what I'm seeing on the original one was a little bit of kind of like this is like this right here is taking a lot of attention, and it's a cool feature. You know, you got that like glowing thing and connecting that to the other stuff. But if the emotion is I'm coming for you, then that's what I need to see. And right now it's telling me look here, and then I'm like, oh, okay, that's what's, and then you're like, oh, okay, right. I think it kind of needs to be the other way. So I would maybe remove the feature from the middle. And just let it be something that can assist whatever we're doing here in the center of everything. Like da 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 da. Maybe I can even take the original colors and just kind of say and then the light is really gonna come from the back here. Maybe it's more fiery or something, who knows. Come from the back here and light this guy up. And then, oh, actually, you know what? I think this is how we're gonna do it. This is how we're gonna do it. It's gonna be really cool. So we really want to see this, right? So we need to, because we do have this backlight. So how can we get the face lit? We're gonna use your features here. like we're gonna use these things slightly somehow. Then we're gonna do this. And then we're gonna be like, yeah, this is gonna be great. Because we'll get to see all of this stuff kind of lit up in an awesome way. Then we're gonna get that that look. Obviously this has to be balanced a lot more than what I'm doing right now. This is just to get the idea out. And then we could feel that a bit more. Something along those lines. I think it's kind of more like here, but then all over the picture, kind of. But that's what we would do. I would dial the green back a little bit, so it's not as intense. I think I already made it a bit too intense, but you can always dial it back. As long as we're seeing the intense look. And maybe there's some blood and stuff also that has happened here and there. That's running down his face. You know. And he's bleeding from the inside, kind of, and he's ready to do that kind of stuff. I hope that helps. I think that's what I would do if you want to take another stab at it or something, or doing something different. Then really focus in on what's important. Play with the pose. Awesome. I'm gonna move on to the next one. I kind of gotta get a little bit faster. Was Audi here? I never got that answer. The LP is here. Okay, we'll go LP first. So LP, is that Mohammed? LP is Mohammed? Gotta see if LP is. I'm assuming it is. Assuming it is. Yes. Okay. Cool. Then we'll jump there. And you posted a bunch of things, and you wrote 7 months using Blender, trying to learn environment concept art. Awesome. Yeah. And yeah, I recognize this. Yeah. Oh yes, I can post the images in Discord. Sorry, I'll do it. At Schulz Division. Come on. Thanks for reminding me, guys. Otherwise. Okay, back to this stuff here. So you're practicing, and I guess you just want some general feedback on like what you can do. You know what? I would try to. There's quite a lot of post-processing on these, and you're adding like a lot of grain and a lot of like crunched values on these things. And adding in some glow and blue. I would try to just step that back a little bit. Like, so try to just make it like a rule to just not do any kind of heavy level stylings and stuff like that before you really figured out your composition and your and the thing you're doing. Because I think my biggest thing with the images right now is that like I'm having a harder time figuring out what exactly they're about, and I really want to hone in on that. So I'm not gonna look at this one, because that's the one that, I mean, we could actually, maybe that's fun. This one seems like that's kind of interesting, it's also the strongest one, just because it's very clearly that it's about this. But if we take a quick look at this one actually, then there's some things that we could do just to push the idea even more. So if we look at the black and white, then as kind of seeing it from far away, we know that it's about this, but there's also a few other things that are kind of taking our attention a little bit, right? There's some very strong like overlaps here and things, and it's really here that I want to look. So I want to reestablish that as much as possible. So I'm gonna just bring in some stuff like this here. Oh, actually, how should I do this? Or maybe something like this. Multiply. Just gonna bring in the values a little bit like this. And then hopefully you should be able to see how the composition kind of starts becoming a little bit more clear, right? You see that? Just like from here, it's kind of like, I mean, we know what the picture is about, but we just want to emphasize that idea even more. And we do that by doing this, and we can do the same thing in the opposite direction with this stuff here. It's already glowing quite a lot, but we can you know, be like, you know what, let it bloom, let it bounce on the walls, you know, let it kind of fill out the room a little bit. Maybe we should do with a linear dodge instead. Yeah, like that. Let this kind of be interesting. Let this thing do something here. Oh, not too much there. Something like that. See what I mean? Like it's the same picture, but it's just very little, and then it just changes how it feels. Now it's like, wow, she is alone. This room is dark, but outside there's green stuff to interact with. Exactly, right. But like looking at your scene and stuff, I think it's like, yeah, it's cool that you're using materials and you're getting pipes in and things. I think it's just mostly just like get the composition. You can also put in a little bit more story in the foreground if you want to have that. Like, let's say this is your read. You're like, okay, fine. I looked at the thing now. It's Ellie's there. It's like, okay, but what's the story of this place? What's actually happened here? It's like, okay, I know that maybe she came here, but maybe something somewhere here. Like I'm because of the way that it's kind of crunched with the values and stuff, and kind of the noisiness of this, then I'm not really sure what this is. I can see that that's a cardboard box. I can see there's some trash there. I can see there's some pipes here. But it'd be nice if there was a little bit of some kind of a story element, just something for me. You know, maybe there is like if I go find like a backpack or something. Let's see if I can find a backpack. I'm gonna get this backpack here. I'm just gonna grab it. Like this. And then I'm gonna just kind of match it value wise. Oh, maybe there's a backpack here. And obviously this doesn't look great, but if there was a little bit of something there, just telling us that like, oh, maybe she She left the backpack there. Maybe there's some magazines or something, or some survival stuff or something that kind of suggested that something had happened there, or comics or something. Is that Ellie? She reads some comics and stuff in the thing, and it's just like, yeah, the composition is still here, but this is just telling us that something kind of went on. It's not exactly the best way of doing it here. Maybe it's also just a little bit too obvious, but it's just letting us kind of look around in the picture a little bit, and then it's like, oh, actually, you know, there's something happening there, or maybe it's something like a maybe there's like a bird or something right there. Like a white dove or something like that. Like that. Maybe another one right there also. You know, birds there, then she's kind of having a reason to go out there or something like that. Just a little bit of insertion of story together with the stuff, then it kind of just gives us something to latch onto in the image. Right? It's like, okay, she's clearly going out there to look at the birds. Maybe she heard them. Maybe she was trapped in here with the comics, or you can probably come up with a better idea. But give me something to look for, or to, you know, a reason to see the image here. And it's telling a little bit of a story now, which I think you can try that. Hello, Wick Booth. Wick Booth, you had stuff on the thing. I'll get to you also. You are the one. Wick Booth is here. We have to get there also. Yeah, I guess we'll be going over time, but that's fine. I'm just gonna look at one more of yours. This one is the what's that guy? I know which thing you were kind of referencing here, but I think the story is a little bit the same. It's like there's a lot of assets and stuff put in here, and this guy is kind of just stuck in a pose. But maybe he's doing something that can help us a little bit. And the same thing with here. It's like, okay, it's these two crusaders approaching this place, but why exactly are they approaching this place? You don't have to have a fully realized story, but just give me some idea of like what is the vibe that's supposed to happen here. I'll try to open this here, and then this is just a different approach. I know that you were just like referencing one of the things that I had done, but just a slightly different approach, maybe just something to think about. Oh, also for this for the Ellie thing, I have this piece. I did show it last time, but I think it's still relevant. It's kind of in a way, it's the same composition. You know, you're having something in a doorway looking. The feeling is very different, but then we kind of got some like dead bodies and a reason to look around. So there's kind of this, oh, what's happening here? Oh, he's angry. Oh, it's because everyone's dead. You know, that's kind of the steps of realization. Something is gonna happen, kind of. But with this thing here, what you could try doing is that, let's say that, okay, these guys are arriving, right? That's what's important. They're arriving to this place, right? So then how should that feel? Maybe because these guys are placed in the middle, I kind of feel like we could show that in a different way. And the way you could try it is to do it like kind of almost symmetrically, you know, show this place like this kind of. Then we have the what's it called, all the overgrowth, things like that. Just overgrown with trees and things like that. We got this stuff, we got that stuff. We got that stuff. I'm just thinking like what they are arriving, you know, like then it's gotta be all bombastic and they're coming in here. Also kinda with their flags, you know. I think maybe there could be even more of them, but you just got the two kind of that. I keep drawing them on the same layer. Maybe we'll try. There. And then and they can be dwarfed in front of this thing, you know. They could be tiny. There. Kind of looks like a scythe more than a flag, but we know what it is. And they're there and they're coming to this thing, and then everything is, you know, overgrown and things like that. I think that's kind of maybe where I would try just think a lot more about what your images needs me to realize, right? And then try, I think, crunching your, like, try a little bit less post-processing. Just really establish your core core values, core separation. You can probably try doing a little bit more foreground, midground, background. So if I check, if I do this trick where we say, I'm gonna do the lazy way, image adjustment, adjustment black and white, there, image adjustments, posterize, then I do something like this kind of, then it's like, yeah, we got a little bit of depth here, like, yes, the stuff in the background is brighter, but this is, you know, almost as dark as this stuff here, and that's kind of the foreground. I would bring this down a little bit. I know that this is supposed to be the focal point, but I think it's a little bit too heavy. It makes this feel a lot closer to us than it is. It probably needs to come up a little bit, like just give it a little bit of distance, you know, like that, and then it'll feel a little bit further away. And then, you know, something along those lines. You can even bring in a little bit of mist. Why not? Then it makes it all feel kind of mysterious. But it's sunlight, so there wouldn't really be that much mist. But still, you know, why not? And then we got that cool red line right there. Let's just ignore that one. There we go. Yeah, just a little bit of, and you can use your clouds here to kind of really frame this guy. Like create a kind of looks like somebody's giving the finger. There. Then yeah, don't be afraid to like really separate foreground, midground, background. This one can probably be even darker also. You know, it creates a little bit of depth. bring in the values. Nice, cool. But I think, I mean, you're on a good track. It's great that you're experimenting so much. Just keep going. I hope this helped. Okay, next one. Opossum the Ocean. Was Opossum the Ocean in the chat? I'm so sorry. I don't think so. See you, Schultz Division. Have a good one. Bye. Wake Booth is late. I don't think Opossum the Ocean was there. Damn it, I wish I could have done all these people. Maybe I'll do them at a different time. I'll write them. Wake Booth though. You want feedback, eh? Hello there. I love doing concept art in my spare time, but lately I've been feeling less motivated because of the emergence of AI. Nevertheless, I will always keep trying to improve. So I would love to know what a pro like you thinks about my latest artwork. Thanks so much for doing things like this, William. It's people like you who make this continue to love what we do. I hope you have a great day. Oh, that's great. Much love, Wick. Very much appreciated. Okay. Do you have a portfolio somewhere, Wick? That it's not. I'm not gonna do a full portfolio review. It's just good to know kind of what you're coming from. It's mostly that this is also fan art. So it can be difficult to see how much of you is in this because it's the Mandalorian. So I could obviously comment on composition and the colors and stuff. It'd just be nice to know what else you do. If you have, it's also okay if you don't. Yeah, if you can link your ArtStation, that's great. Where will I see that? Wherever you can link it. I don't know what that's gonna be. Oh, then I can get some water in the meantime. Oh yeah. Ow, what the hell happened to my beard? Like, why is that bleeding from my beard? That's so weird. Wake Booth, okay. Alright, that's what we're doing there. Mandalorian Planet. Okay, cool, right. Doing those things. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Doing some planet stuff. Okay, cool. Doing things there. It's almost like game level stuff. Oh, okay, like a lighting class for UV4. Okay. Okay, so you're also kind of experimenting with doing more and more kind of concept art and figuring out what that is. I mean, I think this is nice. I mean, it's a nice piece. There's not too much like to comment on because it's like okay, it's Mando and it's the Ugnaught or whatever, and Mando looks the way Mando looks, and the Ugnaught is obviously talking. Mando is keeping silent, so the story is kind of intact there. We got the Razor Crest in the background, and they're kind of walking towards us. So the only thing I would say, like composition-wise, I think overall it looks pretty good. Composition-wise, maybe this is a little bit cluttered. Like, it'd be great if Mando could be separated out a little bit more. So I would maybe brighten up the background just a smidge so that this silhouette here can pop out. And maybe we can see what I'm talking about if we black and white this, right? And then we posterize this down to like a 3 or something. Yeah, there we go. So this is kind of what's happening, right? Where Mando is getting lost. So like on a really big scale, then Mando is kind of being lost a little bit, where the Ugnaught is still framed, right? And I know if we're going to a different posterized, then it doesn't really feel that way, but on a really basic read, that's kind of also what we feel out here. You can kind of see that, oh, is this just one big shape? And then, oh, something's happening here. And I feel like Mando is still the star in this thing. He's the one that's center frame. So I would brighten up the background a little bit. I wonder if I can select subject. Come on, select Mando. Oh, you see that? You see that? That is just the most beautiful thing ever. Sometimes AI is pretty cool. If we can just kinda oh. Oh damn it, I didn't do it on a separate layer. I over exaggerated it a little bit here, just so that and I should have done it on a separate layer because I wanted to keep your sun, because that was actually super cool. But whatever, it'll be like this right now. This way now, Mando just pops a little bit more than. That's not what it was before. I'm so sorry. Where did it go? Copy image. There. So original, and it's still your original. Still looks better, but it's just that he pops a little bit more there, so you can see the read from further away. It just, the silhouette pops out a little bit more. You can keep the subtleties of what you got going on back there, but I think Mando could pop a little bit more. In addition, I think that his proportions are a little bit too. His arm is a little bit too long. That's what it looks like to me, at least. That this could be just a smidge shorter, and the same thing with the other arm. It's kind of like, it kind of gave him a there. And this, oh, and I even see Grogu there. Nice. Going on there. Kind of want to bring that back a little bit. Ooh. Okay. It's kind of like his legs are. It's like his knee is here, but his, and then his torso becomes very long. Yeah, I think that I would scale this whole thing up a little bit, so that his legs kind of become a little bit more up there. I think he was a little bit monkey-like in proportions there before. But this whole thing with Mando and the silhouette, it's also you know, it's a choice, but I feel like this is the right kind of I would really like even more crispness here on this stuff, so we can really see Mando. You don't have to overdo it, but just a little bit of, especially on the helmet there, because it's like, whoa, you know, it's so shiny that it can be like a halo. And the Ugnaught can get a little bit of also, why not? But not too much, because there's also kind of this subtle warmness of the stuff. Yeah, that's maybe the stuff that I would kind of do. But still, you got all these subtleties in the background and the subtle warmth and stuff here. You need to keep that. Like here, I'm just exaggerating it, right? But just bring that out a little bit. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Is that felt like it was kind of short, but I feel like that was actually almost the best, most concise feedback I could give on this one. Otherwise, I think it looks pretty nice. You can try lots of things with the composition. You can always try doing stuff like this, where you just say, you know what, I'm gonna blast this out of the. Maybe there's a different version of it where it's like like that, and then say, you know what, I would like but you should just keep going with doing art. I know that AI is there and stuff, but honestly, I feel like it's been going a lot slower with implementing it into the industry than what I think people thought. And that's a good thing. And I think it's just, it's because AI can't think. And I also think fundamentally, I think that humans are interested in seeing what other humans make. And it's almost more important than the skill. The skill is like a bonus. But the fact that a human is sitting and making something, that's kind of that's why we're interested. I'm not as afraid. I think there's many aspects of AI that can be really, really bad, and it could really be utilized in a way where it's incredibly damaging. But I'm not that afraid of it, to be honest. I don't use it like beyond select subject in Photoshop, but I don't use it to generate stuff. I have tried, I have tried in the past to use it for things, but it was honestly too slow and too imprecise to be useful in any way. I can't see a path where it could be useful, as a tool. But I don't think it should replace anyone. I don't think that sounds very fun. But then there's all the stuff on what is right and wrong with taking people's stuff. But that's a longer discussion. You could also try something like this where you're like, maybe the composition is larger or something like that. That could also be a thing. Then maybe you never know. Maybe there's a cutout that you like even more. This gives it a very different feeling, right? This is more like they are definitely heading into the big open nothingness, right? Where before it was like very much them, the ship, and the warm sun. This is more like they've landed, the sun is in the background, and it's desolate, or not desolate, but empty where they are. Like almost same composition, but very, very different. So just something to try there. Cool. Nice. Yeah, it's getting late. I think I really want to stop it now. But I appreciate you guys showing up and looking. I hope it was useful to the people here. Appreciate you guys sticking around. We'll do another stream on Thursday, I think. But I don't know what it should be about the next stream. To the people who are here watching now, what do you guys feel interested in watching? We'll do another feedback stuff in the future at some point, but next time I want to do a topic or something. I've kind of been thinking about learning techniques, just like how to get better at learning, or how to learn more efficiently, because I learned so many things in my life, and I feel like there's so many interesting topics Learning stuff. We talked about something else earlier today, which was... Oh, I don't remember. What was that other topic we were discussing? It was... plexiglass. I hope in some stream we can have a little discussion, even for a few minutes. I've got a few things that have been bugging me. Discussion about AI. Is that what you're thinking about, or just things in general? More into city building or large-scale environments, techniques, and processes. If you want to do large-scale environments, I recommend checking out this super cool guy called William Bang, because he did this super cool video called Create Epic Scale. That's everything you need to know. But if you're thinking more like actually doing an environment, like a proper environment that you could feasibly walk around in and how to do big things, then we could talk about that. It's not something I'm particularly like strong with, but I've done a few things. Like I kind of done like these kinds of things. They're very fast, you know, and like these kinds of things and stuff like that. I would want to ask about your world building project. I only found out about it now, and I'm curious how you're telling story apart from just artwork. Yeah, I mean we can do that. Graphic novel, comic book, animation game. So on my YouTube channel, I am currently the latest 2 videos is about game dev, which are games set in Black Horizon, the world, and that's just like a first step taking into the world. But conceivably, the story for the world actually exists as a TV series. Like that's how it's conceptualized. I'm trying to write that out. Not AI, but regarding difficulties assigning meaning to my artworks and having difficulty saying what a piece is about, if that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. That's a huge problem that lots of people have. Don't feel alone with that, because so many concept artists I know, there are lots of people asking me specifically, they're like, I just don't care about what I make. I like drawing the stuff, but I'm just like, nah, what's going on? They tend to need to work with somebody else to have it make sense, and it's a hard one, but it might be really interesting. Okay. Oh, we need to do tax evasion tips. If you're new to the stream, if it's your first time stream, we have a tradition where we give advice on tax evasion. I don't know why, but that's just the thing. So tax evasion. We need to give a tip on tax evasion. I'm gonna go over to my webcam and stuff like that. Tax evasion tips. Tax evasion tips. You buy a buttload of old Pokemon card booster packs, and then you save them for 10 years, then they've increased in value. Then when you sell them, you're probably supposed to pay taxes off the profit you make. However, you sell them at a flea market, because people sometimes are willing, especially if it's a good Pokemon collection there, and flea market, it's so much easier to just kind of dodge the taxes, because you probably get it in cash. And if you sell individual cards and stuff, then you can probably make that cash up, and if you have it in cash, then tax evasion tip right there. So that usually wraps up the stream, but I do see there's some comments there. I'm just gonna read the fire. But I did the tax evasion stuff now, so you can't hang me up on that. What are people writing here? Shadon is saying, exactly what do you do in Black Horizon and developing the cities for the lore? For like, so you think it'd be interesting talking about like how I make this kind of stuff up, like, you know, like how figuring out the ideas and those kinds of things, just general concept development, or general like I guess idea building. We can talk about that. That could be fun. That's like world building, I guess. I've been working on what is DOM writing here. I've been working on a few settings myself, but I'm unsure how to actually approach the story, especially since writing is very intimidating for me. So I'm just looking around what others do. There's really no right way. I think it's, but there's certainly some things that help. I always refer back to. I have some world building videos on my YouTube channel, which I guess you haven't watched. There are 4 of them. I recommend watching those. I think there's some good inspiration for how to approach certain things. And the biggest takeaway is this thing called the SAW method, which is just about jumping back and forth between world building, story, and aesthetics. And it'll make sense if you watch those videos. So that's the tip there. Okay. I think I'm gonna wrap it up, guys, but I will figure something out for next time. You'll see it in the thumbnail, but I hope that people want to show up and that you want to, you know, hang out and come and chat. So thanks for now, guys. See you in the next one, and good night.